Shana Tova. A teacher of mine once told me the following story. His wife got a call from a friend whose child was in the same first grade class as theirs was, in their neighborhood Mamlachti Dati, state-run religious school in Israel. The friend's child came home extremely upset because the teacher had told the class that depending upon how we've behaved, God writes us into a book of life or death on Rosh Hashanah and seals the book on Yom Kippur. Curious to know how her child had reacted to this, my teacher's wife called him over and asked, "What do you think about this idea that God will write you into a book of life or death?" With youthful, and some might also say Israeli brashness, the boy replied in Hebrew, "Nu, sheichtov." So, let God write me up. This boy's insouciance is refreshing, but it hardly reflects the profound ambivalence, even repugnance, I suspect many of us feel toward this image of being written into the moral accounting ledger in the sky. It's unhelpful that it gets repeated like a mantra in news. Nance, I'm going to start again. Take two. Shana Tova, and welcome to Ohav Shalom. I'm glad you're here with us online, watching this video. Let's learn together. So, a teacher of mine once told me the following story. His wife got a call from a friend whose child was in the same first grade class as theirs was in the neighborhood public school in Israel where they all went. The friend's child came home extremely upset because the teacher had told the class that depending upon how we've behaved, God writes us into a book of life or death on Rosh Hashanah and seals the book on Yom Kippur. Curious to know how her child had reacted to this, my teacher's wife called the kid over and asked, "What do you think about this idea that God's going to write you into a book of life or death?" With youthful, and some might also say Israeli brashness, the boy replied in Hebrew, "Nu, sheichtov." So, let God write me up. This boy's insouciance is refreshing, but it hardly reflects the profound ambivalence, even repugnance, I suspect, many of us feel toward this image of being written into the moral accounting ledger in the sky. It's unhelpful that it gets repeated like a mantra in New Year's prayers such as the somber Unitane Tokef. As the new year begins, we need to feel that God is on our side, helping us to wipe out the mistakes of the past, not etching them in God's long, perhaps punitive memory. What makes the idea even more difficult to embrace is its reward and punishment theology that is so agonizingly out of step with human reality. Having slogged through the devastation of COVID, we're aware of how cruel a belief in God as master of the cosmic ledger book can be. How many good people do we know who died from the disease or who have died so tragically in other ways, why some truly evil people literally get away with murder, all the while living long and prospering? How is it possible to find meaning and solace in the high holiday prayers when they present us with ideas like this one? You know, a literalist reading of such ideas can lead us to accept them blindly, with no sensitivity to the problems of evil and injustice, or to reject them outright without considering what they might have to offer us. The first literalist approach makes us morally and intellectually dishonest. The second makes us spiritually hollow. I want to suggest that we can find that meaning and pray with kavanah, spiritual intent and depth, by reading these prayers as what they are. Poetry, filled with evocative metaphors. So a good place to begin our exploration of this moral accounts ledger metaphor is its source in our tradition in the Babylonian Talmud. Let's read it together. Rabbi Kruspedai said, 3 books are opened on Rosh Hashanah before the Holy One, blessed be God. 1 book is of holy wicked people, and 1 book is of holy righteous people, and 1 is of people in the middle whose good and bad deeds are basically equally balanced. The completely righteous people are immediately written and sealed for life. The totally wicked people are immediately written and sealed for death. And the folks in the middle are left with the judgment of what will happen to them suspended between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, their fate remaining undecided. If they merit as good people through the good deeds that they perform during this time period, they're written for life. And if they don't merit, they're written for death. I want to suggest that Rabbi Kruspedai is doing what rabbis try to do best, teaching us a complex or abstract set of ideas using a concrete story or image. It fires our imaginations and helps us to contemplate those ideas more deeply. In an almost tongue-in-cheek manner, he's reminding us about the most important book of the 3 that is open before God and you and me. And that, of course, is the book for the people in the middle. It includes the vast majority of us. The books of totally righteous and completely evil people are actually irrelevant props in his story because almost no one is totally anything. We're mixed bags, which is why God, and hopefully each of us, gives human beings the opportunity to do better and to make changes. In the language of Jewish law and tradition, the opportunity to do teshuvah. The proverbial books of life and death are open before God, who, as it were, is waiting for our answer about how they'll be filled in for each of us by us through the life or death affirming decisions that we make. We are, as it were, the authors of our own fates in the coming year. This powerful notion is later put forward by that prayer, Unatana Tokef, which says that the book open before us actually contains our own handwriting, not God's. Given this non-literalist reading of these ideas, I want to suggest how we can pray them this high holiday season in a manner that is meaningful and empowering and morally demanding. Take these and other words of the High Holy Day prayer book seriously without taking them literally. They aren't spiritual dogmas so much as spiritual invitations to deepen your self-awareness about your future and its terrifying, exhilarating, open book of possibilities. What are you going to write on your page of the as-yet completed script of your life, your actions, your personal changes and decisions? Our tradition is asking you, actually, you know what? It's asking all of us to come on an incredible journey with God and with each other. God respects and loves each of us so much that God refuses to say, sorry, the book is closed. You are who you are. Nothing's going to change. You might as well die or exist in a living death. We who are called to emulate God, to imitate God, should do no less for each other. Can we imagine standing before and with God as the open books that we are, that we can be, and that we should be? God, we might say, I'm terrified, but so hopeful of what I may make of my coming here, knowing fully well that I can't control everything that's going to happen to me. I don't know if I can do this. To which God, we imagine, echoing, as it were, my teacher's son, is going to respond, Nu, shetichtov. Nu, what are you waiting for? I'm here with you. Now get writing. Shana Tova.